Sunday, and I just haven't been able to get them done as fast as I would like. So tell me, how often are you doing your Bible study? Is this an every other day thing for you? Is this a once a week thing for you? That matters to me. If most of you are just, hitting this once a week, or maybe even just as the videos appear, well then I think I can handle that. If you're doing a Bible study every other day, trying to keep a regular personal routine, then I may have trouble keeping up with you. Let me know what you're doing. I remember when I was doing the Read the Bible in a Year studies. Have you done one of those? Those are great. Where everything is in sometimes a chronological Bible. You can buy these over at the bookstore, the Bible bookstore especially. But everything, every day of the year has a reading plan for it. Those are really good. The reason they're really good is because you get the word in you. Not because it's always great to be religious, and I use the term in not a good way. A way that's forced. A robotic reading of the word is not necessarily what we're after. But getting it in you is what we're after. So those have been some of the better sessions of my life when I'm just reading through. And I do recommend doing it at least once in your life if you've never done it. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We are in Genesis chapter 8. We're going to finish it up today. I guess we can just get started. All right. We're in Genesis 8, verse 13, and I am reading from the English Standard Version. In the 601st year, in the first month, the first day of the month, the waters were dried from the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. In the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth had dried out. Then God said to Noah, "Go out from the ark, you and your wife and your sons wives with you, and bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, that they may swarm on the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth." So Noah went out, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him, every beast, every creeping thing, every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by families from the ark. Let's stop right there, because there is a last section. But let's take this in pieces here. In the 601st year of what? This is Noah's 601st year. He went into the ark at the age of 600. I don't believe that is just arbitrary or per chance. I think it's very significant that Noah, our secondary father of creation, so to speak, is 600 years old. So when God says, "I've had it with man," he's waited 600 years. The number of man is 6. He's waiting 600 years. He's going to put Noah on the boat, and he brings Noah through this judgment, through this chaos. And now it's Noah's 601st year, meaning he is broken through. He is no longer the number of man, which is a 6 or a 600. He is now 601, which is in a way very much a new beginning in his age, a new number, 601, no longer just man. I found that to be of interest. It says the waters were dried up from the earth. Okay, we're going to come back to that. And Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. Okay. Now it does say the waters were dried up from the earth, and then it says the face of the ground is dry. First, I'm noticing that Noah removed a covering from the ark. What was this covering? I'm thinking a canopy, maybe skins, something that he could obviously take take down. He can remove it. If we're talking about 1,000-pound timbers, then probably not. I mean, just go back out through the door you came in. But this is a removal of something that was on the top of the ark, and that's not in very many pictures that I have seen. I'm reminded again of the window. So we know there's a window. We know there's a way to protect the top deck of this boat, but we don't know exactly how that was done. So it makes sense that there could have been some animal skins lifted up, maybe like a tent, to let the rain pour off the sides. Okay, so we have that, and then it says in verse 14, in the second month, on the 27th day of the month, the earth had dried out. Okay, what did it say up here? The 601st year, in the first month, first day of the month. First month, first day of the month. The waters are dried off the earth. And now we're in the second month. On the 27th day of the month, the earth is dried out. So we're losing something in this translation to English. It looks like the earth had already been dried out, right? So I'm thinking that if we pay attention to the numbers in the first month, first day of the month, if the months are 30-day months, like they would be approximately 30-day months, right? 30 days, and now we're in the second month, on the 27th day of the month? So 57 days later? Okay, now just think about that for a moment. Noah's been floating on a boat with a bunch of animals and his sons and daughters for the last year, and he's ready to get off the boat. And now it looks like he can. The boat's come to rest on the mountains of Ararat. It's not a Mount Ararat, it's the mountains of Ararat. It's somewhere in a mountain range in Turkey, probably. And it looks like the storm has passed. It looks like we're finally able to get off the boat. Only Noah can't get God to say, leave the boat. So he's waiting. And perhaps Noah's kind of got a clue. He knows that the waters have to recede to a point. But then verse 15, God says to Noah, go out from the ark, you and your wife and your sons' wives with you. Okay. Finally, you get the go-ahead. By the way, if you're ever looking for a memory verse, Genesis 8:15. Then God said to Noah, that's my memory verse for this month. If I can find 12 of these, then I'm going to have a very productive year. Then God said to Noah, go out from the ark, you and your wife, your sons, and your sons' wives with you. You've got the go-ahead. Bring out with you every living thing that is with you of all flesh, birds and animals, every creeping thing that creeps on the earth, that they may swarm on the earth, may be fruitful and multiply on the earth. So the animals had the same command as Adam and Eve in the beginning. Be fruitful, multiply. The animals weren't really failing in their command. It was a man that failed. So now we have a continuation of the command. We're going to release these guys. They're going to go out. They're going to be fruitful and multiply. And so, verse 18, Noah's going out, him and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him. Strange, it didn't mention his sons there. And then verse 19, every beast, every creeping thing, and every bird, everything that moves on the earth went out by families from the ark. Okay. Pretty straightforward, I think. Nothing's ever straightforward, by the way. I can't wait for you guys to comment and tell me what you see in this. So many good Bible scholars on this channel. That is no lie. Okay, then Noah built an altar to the Lord and took some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird and offered burnt offerings on the altar. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, the Lord said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done. While the earth remains, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night shall not cease. These are conclusive verses. They don't leave much room for variation. So this is entitled accurately, God's Covenant with Noah, the Noahic Covenant. We had one with Adam, we find out later. We didn't see it in Genesis 1 and 2 and 3. We didn't see that covenant. But we can assume that when those animals died to cover Adam and Eve, then a covenant perhaps was cut. Because with every covenant, it means a cutting. There has to be a death in covenant according to God's view. It's why they say cutting a covenant. This is the Noahic covenant. And Noah is going to offer some of every clean animal and some of every clean bird on the altar. Now we can probably surmise that some here, perhaps we can take this back to 7 or 7 pairs. Did he mean 7s and then they offered the 1? Or maybe they offered the 3? Or was it 7 pairs and he just offered some of these animals? These are questions I have, and I don't know that we can answer them conclusively. But God deals with man through covenant. He did through Adam and Eve, and he is now with Noah. So they're cutting a covenant, offering some of the birds that Noah took on the ark, or some of the birds and animals, as long as they're clean. None of the unclean animals were offered in this covenant. And when the Lord smelled the pleasing aroma, he said in his heart, I will never again curse the ground because of man. This is interesting because we know that the ground was cursed because of Adam. That is still in effect, right? That was still in effect. Is the Lord referring to the curse of flooding the ground? The curse of destroying the earth, basically, completely with a flood? Is that what he's saying, I will never again do? Because my question comes from the fact that he didn't put an end to the curse of the ground from Adam. Not yet. So, I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intention of man's heart is evil from his youth. That is provoking, and I wonder what I'm losing in translation. It seems that the reason for the flood was because of the evil intent of mankind from his youth. Now he's saying, I'm never going to do it again, but man hasn't changed. And that would be correct. Man hasn't changed. The intentions of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I ever again strike down every living creature as I have done. A lot of people that are big time into eschatology but not really studying it for themselves, they're just big into the ideas of eschatology, which is the study of last days or last things, or even, they just love the book of Revelation. They find it apocryphal, and they think that the end of the world means God destroying everything and everyone. And I understand where they're getting it from certain verses, but I don't know that understanding is complete. We have to go back to what God has done, what God has said regarding these eternal covenants. God did not make this covenant conditional. he says, while the earth remains, all of these things will not cease. You say, well, that's it says right there, while the earth remains, Steve. When he destroys the earth and everything in it, then obviously he's going to destroy all of the animals and all the people in it. I understand that point, and I am not comfortable with it. The reason that I'm not comfortable with it is probably going to be better explained as we move forward. But this thing called grace, where God is loving his enemies and making provision for them anyway, and God is, he is never, what is he going to do about the animals? Honest question from Steve Johnson. Honest question, because this covenant is also with the animals. I will not strike down every living creature as I have done. What is he going to do about the animals? He has made a bargain. He's made a commitment to both Noah and the animals of the earth. So, as it is right here, Genesis 8, I have a lot of questions. Moving forward, I think we get to answer some of these. But right now, not knowing anything coming, I have a lot of questions. And I hope you do too. And if you have some insight, start sharing it, okay? Start sharing that insight, because we will take that into consideration as we move forward. Okay, next up, Genesis chapter 9. We will get to that this week. So I wish you all a safe and blessed week, and peace.